Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sayer Report. I'm your host, Devon Decker, and joining me, as always, my host companion, Sejohn Serwick.
Let me swallow my coffee. Oh my God. You did that thing where you just started recording and I wasn't ready. Okay.
You complained about the fact that we weren't recording because I went like, I'm all amped up on Two Steak Burritos. And you're like, but we're not recording.
That's exactly what happened. It went exactly like that.
I have like really, really good instant recall.
Oh, yeah. Really?
That thing that occurred a second ago, man, perfect. Perfectly gonna bring that back.
That's an X-Men power.
Oh, dude, I gotta fucking tell you, I don't think I'm ready to record, to be honest with you.
Oh man. Well, if you hit that button, and you're coughing, well, we're definitely recording.
Oh yeah, we know. Yeah, you think an admission of the fact that I'm not ready to record is enough for me to stop recording? If you out there thought that was what was going to happen, welcome to the Say Report. It must be your first episode, and it's our second episode of season 2, right? It's like. Is it season 2? I don't know. Like it's of the year 2, right?
I feel like it's like series 2 or something.
Yeah. Okay, let's be British about it. Here it is. Welcome to series 2. I don't know what that was.
What's that voice?
Oh yes, I love marmalade. I'm Paddington Bear.
Somewhere a Welshman is crying.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
Will.
He's crying. Yeah, poor guy. I'm not making it easier. Oh, now I'm sad. No, of course. Well, if he's out there crying, screw him. He's in Australia. He's back. He's back in the down under.
Oh, he's back in the upside down.
I don't know. It's Stranger, the things that he's dealing with. I assume. I've not seen that show.
Oh my God. Dear me. Oh dear me. Welcome back, Devon.
Hi. How are you?
So, besides your steak burritos, does anything else got you going this week?
I watched a shit ton of movies over the weekend. Like a metric shit ton of movies.
Okay, all right. Here we go.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry. Are we not going right into this?
Oh, we should go right into it. Unless you have something else. No, we should go into it. I watched a bunch of movies. You know what? And here's the thing. A couple episodes ago, I asked you to guess what movie I watched, and it might not have even been an episode. Here's the crazy thing. Sejohn, because he's my best friend, he's been hanging out with me, like, when it's not time to work. And that's been fun.
Weird, right? Yeah.
And we came up with, like, the perfect theory for the Brutals.
Oh my God! Okay, Odyssey. You say we, but really, this was you. I maybe sparked the thought simply by complaining that perhaps the Brutals do not have the deepest of stories in if you play Super Mario Odyssey. I am at only 270 something stars right now, so yes, everybody out there screaming at their iPods or whatever the kids have these days, Zunes, right? That's what you got, Zunes.
Yep, they made a comeback.
Yeah, but I mentioned that I like the Brutals are like goofy characters and I think fit in the world really well. I just wanted to know more about them now, and then Devon proceeds to lay the truth down.
Okay, and the truth of the matter is, first off, semi-spoilers for Super Mario Odyssey. Sejohn, you've been to the dark side of the moon now?
I have now been to the dark side of the moon. Yes.
Have you completed the dark side of the moon?
No.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Let me just be honest with you.
It is a trek.
It is a trek and a half, my friend. Okay, so Super Mario Odyssey, they introduced these 4 new characters called, well, 5 technically, new characters called the Brutals. And Sejohn's complaining, he's like, I wanted more from them. Despite the fact that he precedes that by saying, I know it's a Mario game, and they don't really do that, but I want more about the Brutals. Now, here's the story that my mind just invented for them, and that is the fact that the 4 main Brutals, the ones who are planning Bowser's wedding, as I call them, Lucky, Lady, Bully, and Lanky.
These are your names.
These are my names. I do not know if these are Devon names.
But yes, say them again for everybody.
Lucky, Lady, Bully, and Lanky. My personal favorite is Lanky, and I also really like that Bully Like, this is all my own mental stuff. Like, Sejohn complained about the Brutals not having backstory, and I, like, opened up a little file that I had never looked at inside of my brain, and this is the stuff that my subconscious was writing down about these characters. And the thing that I'm really impressed with is the fact that Bully does not fit with the name scheme because everyone else has an L name, right?
Right.
And that's why he's a fucking bully. Like, he feels alienated by his own
alienated
family.
from his own group. Oh man.
So he
but I know exactly who you're talking about when you say each and every single one of those names.
I bet
Lanky, Bully, Lady, and what's the first one? Lucky. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
obvious. There's no other name for Lucky. And
so then it's just for the last one, is it just
it's a Mama Brudel.
Mama
Brudel.
Right, because they're from somewhere in this kingdom, right?
Well, they're from the fucking moon. Spoilers. That's why. So Sejohn's like issue is if they're wedding planners, they're the best fucking wedding planners in the business because they go above and beyond the call of duty. But the fact of the matter is, the Brutals, they're just fucking rich trust fund kids. That is 100% what the Brutals are. And Mama Brutal said that they're not going to get access to their inheritance until they show that they like can work, that they can actually earn money. They've been sucking off the teat of luxury life, born with silver spoons in their mouths, and now Mama wants to see that once she passes away, probably from golden chain chomp exposure, because like those don't occur in nature, right? Like the only other time I've seen a golden chain chomp was in Super Mario RPG, and that was to get to Great Guy's Casino. Wow, man, this works. I'm good. I'm connecting all the little dots.
Yeah.
So it's like a movie. Like, it's a total movie script, right? Like in the 90s or the 80s, where like the rich kids are challenged to work for a living. So since the brutal business was bridal stuff, she's like, you plan this wedding for this guy, this fucking turtle guy, and the inheritance is yours, right? You'll get to live on the mansion on the fucking moon still, and we'll take care of you, and everything will be okay. All you have to do is complete this guy's wedding. So that's why they're willing to go above and beyond the Call of Duty, because their fucking, like, way of life is at stake.
Yeah, no, and that is an amazing set of stakes that, again, I will point out you created.
Yeah, the game.
The game gives you none of that.
Well, the game gives you the 4 basic characters. My favorite Brutal is Lanky, and it is 100%. I think I've said it on the show before, but I will say it again. That guy in high school was in a production of The Fantastics and just never grew out of it. He's like trying to remember the kind of September when grass was green and grain was yellow all the livelong day.
Oh my god!
And that's like the second I saw him, I'm like, this guy loves the Fantastics. And then I'm like, that can't be the reference that Nintendo was going for, right?
And that's the nugget for the rest of that story. Is then from there on out, that's how the rest of it blossoms.
Well, the rest of it blossoms from the fact that like Mama Brutal, you have to say it like that too. You can't just say Mama Brutal. You don't even know what I just said. And Mama Brutal, she's like a real fancy pants. Like she's got giant pearls, and she's got the dress and the hat and the gold chain jump, as previously mentioned. Clearly, the Brutals are well off. They have their own fucking airship. Totally. They have an airship separate from Bowser's airship.
Yeah, they've got their own. No, they established themselves as pretty much on the same level as Bowser. Like, there's no indication that they're actually beneath him. There's no moment at which they bow to him, right?
Right.
They just work for him.
They're contracted to work for him.
Yeah.
Like, it's clearly just another fucking payday for them.
Yeah. So, like, I totally want to see more Brutals, like, in like future games. Like, Brutals need to make a comeback. You know, like I want to see that.
I would be 100% okay if the Brutals took the place of the Koopalings going forward. And I'm a huge fan of the Koopalings.
I like the Koopa. Yeah, I like the Koopa kids. Like, I think that's like,
there's the issue. is that the Koopa kids, they're tied up in the same like legal red tape. Not really legal red tape, just the same red tape that like Birdo is tied up in.
Right.
Like the reason we don't see Birdo anymore is because they want to avoid anything that might alienate the trans population, because they play a shit ton of video games, and this character who like he's a boy but he thinks he's a girl, right? Like that was a one-off thing that they put in the translation of the Super Mario Brother 2 manual, but it's canon. Birdo is always a transgendered character, and I think that's awesome, right? But it's not because Nintendo was like, we need a transgender character in this game. It's because some guy in translation was like, hey, what if the pink egg shooting thing was a dude?
Right. It's like a stupid moment in history that now ends up dictating like this huge change later on.
Right. And like you have Captain Rainbow that like makes good on it and like really plays into the canonical. Canonicity is what I want to say. Canonicity is probably not a word, but it feeds into the canon. Yeah, I like canonicity. I know it's not a word, but it sounds good, right? Canonicity. It's one of those things that like they fed into it and they did it, but like Birdo hasn't shown up in a game in like forever. The fact that Birdo is not one of the racers in Super Mario 8 Deluxe is crazy to me.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but you really haven't seen them in a long time.
And the Koopalings, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Super Mario Brothers 3 manual that we received, they are called specifically Bowser's children.
Mm-hmm.
And then it is even played up the fact that they are Bowser's children by the cartoon that came out in the 90s.
Right.
Right? Where all their names were changed, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was Bully Koopa and Lady Koopa.
And Lanky Koopa.
No, there was no Lanky or Lucky. There was definitely Bully. Roy Koopa was turned into Bully Koopa. And Ludwig von Koopa was Einstein Koopa, I think. Like, the name's stupid.
Change.
Just stupid names. They're like, kids won't get the rock and roll references. Yeah, that's okay, though. That's the names of the characters.
And kids are smarter than you think.
Kids are much. I knew all of them as a child. I'm like, this is cool that they did this for us. Thank you, Morton Koopa Jr.
Why is he a Morton Jr.? Where's Morton?
Exactly, right? If Bowser was his father, then Bowser's real name is Morton Koopa.
His name is Morton Bowser Koopa. What if Bowser just is a title?
I think Bowser's just like a nickname.
Speaking of some weird Bowser theories, if we're going to go down this road of talking about Mario,
we're talking Mario right now.
I got neck deep in some weird video game theories this weekend. Like I was looking specifically for like creepy ones. So I found a really awesome one involving Bowser and King Boo. Have you ever stumbled across this?
No, this is new to me.
Okay. All right. So how much do we know about King Boo specifically?
What we know about King Boo is that he was invented to be the villain of Luigi's Mansion.
Yes.
Okay. And then he showed up in Super Mario Kart Double Dash. He is the final character that you unlock.
Okay. So here's the weird thing about Bowser's history and how it has to do with King Boo. So everything up before Luigi's Mansion, right? Bowser at the end of these things would suffer like really humiliating losses, and like, you know, he'd fall into his own lava pit and crawl back out, or he'd, you know, get kicked off and onto a hill, but he'd, you know, live to see another day, right? But
he'd get kicked out onto a hill?
He'd be like kicked into the background, and like you'd see his sprite get really tiny as he'd go off into the background, and then he'd hit the hill, and then there'd be like a bandage where he hit. Like
that's a castle that does that. Oh, castle number 4 does that.
Yeah. But like that is the imagery, right? Like maybe we never saw that specifically, but it was always that style of cartoonish like death, right? But then this is where things get weird. Paper Mario comes out. And Bowser, being the big villain at the end of that game, suffers like a really traumatic death in that he's like thousands of feet in the air, and he's on a platform that explodes. So like, there's this theory that he does in fact actually die at the end of Paper Mario.
But Paper Mario is a separate universe. I'm just
going
to put that on file right now.
I understand that. I understand, and I subscribe to that theory more than this one. But this one depends on the idea that all of them are connected, because the very next game that comes out is Luigi's Mansion.
That is true. I cannot tell a lie.
At the end of Luigi's Mansion is you come up against King Boo, and he drags Luigi into a painting of Bowser that he's caressing, and he says something along the lines of like, "That one's bothered me before." Like, he references fighting Mario before. And like, which is weird because you've never seen King Boo before, and then all of a sudden he drags you into this world and he possesses Bowser and fights you, right?
He does not possess Bowser. It's like a Bowser suit.
Right. But that's the idea. Head off. Like, and so like, there's this whole like idea that basically he is the ghost of Bowser.
Terrible.
And that the reason that he keeps coming back to life from that point on and suffers like really horrific deaths, like you see him become Dry Bowser at some point and all that sort of stuff, like, is because it's now King Boo, like, or like Bowser Boo, right? And that is the theory.
This is the worst theory that I've ever heard.
King Boo is Bowser's ghost, or at the very least has possessed Bowser's body.
I mean, that's more believable. Bowser's body has been possessed hundreds of times. Even by Mario and Luigi.
Yeah, most recently by Mario himself.
Well, no, like, then they also do it in Bowser's Inside Story. They're basically inside Bowser, controlling him.
Oh, man.
And that's a crazy game. I love that game.
It made me start to think about a whole lot of things in the Mario universe. Like, I mean, my biggest question, where do boos come from?
They're dead people. I mean, they're just ghosts. Actually, I don't know. Boos might not be dead. They just might be living ghosts. Right? I actually kind of like that theory a little bit better.
That they're just creatures, like born ghosts, star ghosts.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like in our world, we like the closest analog is ghosts. Though, like, I don't think ghosts are real, but like.
Right, but oh god, we're not gonna get into that. No.
Well, like, it's like okay, so Casper and Wendy, right? Because that's the Casper movie that I have zero knowledge about. No, the second one, right? Casper Scares Straight, the weird movie.
Yes, Casper's Boo School or something, right?
Yeah, well, Casper's in school for ghosts. Now, we know that Casper was the boy who died because he loved playing on his sled, right? He's basically Citizen Kane if Citizen Kane died. That is 100% Casper's. Whoa, man! Like, it just because oh my god!
You just realized that Casper is the alternate universe Citizen Kane.
Yeah, man, that's basically it. Jesus.
Does that make Devon Sawa? Never mind.
No, don't. Devon Sawa has a crazy Twitter account. I'm just gonna put it out there. I'm like, I should follow him because his name's Devon. Hey, that guy's nuts. Idle hands. Tweeting out some crazy bullshit. I don't know what we're talking about. Oh, but yeah.
Mario.
So there are other ghosts, right?
Ghost
like the ghostly trio.
I got there.
It doesn't. Were they ever human?
Right.
Like,
I know, man. So like, where do these like? So the idea that Boo might actually be Bowser's ghost was like this. Kind of weirdly made sense. And then there was somebody pointed out that the original King Boo is like has purple eyes and wears a purple crown, and that's not the King Boo that's in anything else. So maybe the King Boo that we know and love is in Bowser still, and this is like a false like prophet or something.
First of all, the Big Boo is the original King Boo, and then Mario defeats the Big Boo, opening up Star World, and that's when the Big Boo's like, I hate him. I'm going to plot the events of Luigi's Mansion. Here's the thing that doesn't make any fucking sense about Luigi's Mansion, right?
Yeah.
Fucking Mario, initially went into the mansion, right?
Right.
Like, Luigi is like the second string for that game.
Right.
How did Mario not defeat that shit? He's freaking Mario.
I think that's the whole point, right? Is Luigi's time to step up because his brother stumbles once.
Come on,
his brother makes one mistake, and suddenly Luigi gets a whole
game.
Mario
was missing in 1993, and Luigi had to find him.
Yeah, but wasn't Mario not really missing at the end of that game? I forget how that game wraps up.
Dude, the fact that I finished that game blows my fucking mind. The
I think I
fact that
only finished it because of the internet now. Like, I think that's the only way I ever got through.
1993, so before the internet available everywhere, right? You couldn't buy a pack of Cocoa Puffs and then, you got the internet on the back of this.
You got the internet on the back of my Cocoa Puff.
It was just that friggin' insane bird talking about, like, do this maze, maybe. Okay. What's the Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs bird name?
Jeffrey?
Yeah, Jeffrey. That's it. That sounds right. I'll believe
Jeffrey
it.
Cuckoo. Jeffrey?
Yeah, he's a cuckoo.
Yeah, right.
He's Jeffrey Cuckoo. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. The name's Cuckoo. Jeffrey Cuckoo. Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So 93. I know nothing about this, right? There's no internet or anything like that for me to go to. I rented it from the supermarket. You've been
Nice.
did you ever come up to Templeton with me? I know that we talk about going to Leominster, but did we ever do Templeton together?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Sometime when you're in this area, preferably when there's not a snowstorm, we should go to Templeton just so I can like show you the two places that I used to rent video games from. Cause like banana pants. Like,
okay.
legitimate. Like I think back to the thing. Like I used to go to a supermarket to rent video games.
Yeah, man. I used to go to a pharmacy.
Yeah, like that's exactly. Or like there was also the Dollar Candy store that also rented video games. And I only ever rented one video game from there. And I don't mean one time. I mean like multiple times I rented the same game because I could not find it anywhere to purchase. And it was on Nick Arcade. And that game is Rockin' Cats, which is one of the greatest games ever. Like that was a game as a kid I beat renting it a bunch of times from the Templeton General Store.
Nice.
But like, so I
think we just dated ourselves like crazy, dude.
Whatever, dude. I don't give a shit. We talk about old video games all the time. I talked about Citizen Kane. According to the listener, I might be 70 years old.
No, we're not saying you're not.
I might be 80 years old, right? The 80th anniversary is next year. Yep, that's it. I might be 80. Who knows? But I rented Mario is Missing. And I had no friggin' clue what was going on in that game. But it had the instruction manual. So, like, after dicking around with it and not knowing what to do, I read the instruction manual and I'm like, oh, okay. So I have to walk around the city. I need to learn about the city. And then I'll take the quiz. And if I pass the quiz, I get the Yoshi. Yoshi lets me eat the Pokey. I go to a new city. All right, it's an educational video game. I'm beating this motherfucker. And I did, like, all on my own with, like, a little notepad and, like, taking notes and, like, my mom's helps. I'm like, Ma, I don't know what to do here. These are my notes. And she's like, that's just scribbles. You got to work on your penmanship. And I'm like, not the time, Mom. Mario is fucking missing.
I'm on a mission.
Goddamn Luigi is called up. You know what, Luigi?
This is the worst Mario game ever. You play as Luigi.
And it's called Mario.
Oh, yeah, man. That's not fair.
I also like now that I'm thinking about all my Super Nintendo times, I owned Mario Paint.
Yeah,
for
man.
like 3 hours.
For what?
Because I bought it home, and I was like, I'm done with this.
Oh man, I love Mario Paint.
Well, like, I had a computer, so if I wanted to do Paint, and, like, I had Print Shop on that, so, like, it made more sense to do it on that, not, like, using the crappy mouse. So my mom's like, oh, we can't return it, though, and I'm like, but, Ma, I don't want it. And she's like, okay, we'll figure it out. We got it returned. I don't know how.
That's some magic right there. That's some mom magic.
You know what the worst part about that is? Is I rented the game first. Like, I rented the game and I played it, and then I'm like, yeah, I want this. And then my mom got it, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want this. Why would I want this?
Oh,
I play a fucking Fly Swatter game?
Oh, God.
Indecisiveness might be a trait of mine. And
No,
I've
see,
admitted I'm here.
we rarely got to purchase games, so everything I ever played was borrowed either from a friend or from a store. So I got lucky and played like Donkey Kong because our neighbors had it and things like that. The one thing we had in the house that we owned was Civilization because my dad just loved playing that game.
That's completely believable. Yeah, buying games, I rented a lot of games, and I thanked my mom for that once. Like recently, where I'm like, thank you so much for like renting video games for me. Like, I might not have owned a lot, but I've played a lot of video games. Like, that's probably where I get my sight reading abilities with video games, is the fact that a lot of the times when you rented a video game, they like threw the cart at you and were like, it's back in 2 days.
It's probably got to yeah, it's probably got to save game on it that's halfway in. So good luck.
Yeah, right. Like it's like, okay, thank you. I don't think I started owning games until the summer of 8th grade. So, like, going into 9th grade, that was when I started to actually own video games.
Yeah, my brother, who's much thriftier than I, was always the one to like own this stuff, and I just got to play with it.
That's fine.
Like my
That's
family,
fine.
like my family would buy stuff for us, but then it got to a point where he was buying stuff for him, and it just kind of spread the wealth.
Yeah, no,
I think that is honestly the best way. That's the only way I got my hands on a Wii.
Yeah, that's what siblings are for, right? Well, yeah, you weren't there. It was the day after the Wii came out that we went up to Rentham and I bought all the Mega Man action figures.
Oh,
remember that
man.
day? What a crazy fucking day that was. And I bought the Wii the day before.
Oh man,
day.
that Wii though.
Yeah.
I remember when that Wii came out and everybody lost their minds and there was like parties. People actually had parties to show off their video game consoles again. Like I don't think I ever experienced that when I was older until that moment. You know,
yeah, no,
like,
and I don't think we'll ever experience it again. I feel like the Wii was this weird once in a lifetime thing, and like now our memories are going to be longer for it. Like motion control and the Wii and the way that they demonstrated it, it was such a fucking hype machine.
yeah. I wonder though if and when they finally get VR right, I wonder if there will be a moment of that, like that whatever the like killer well, hardware, not really killer app, but whatever the killer hardware is going to be, you know, that it comes out. Everybody thought it was going to be Oculus, and then a bunch of weird shit went down with Oculus, so it's not going to be that. PlayStation VR is doing pretty good right now, but like whoever cracks that sweet spot of everybody can own one and it's still kind of badass, like that's going to be awesome when that moment happens.
The difference with VR though is that it's a single player experience. Like it's not really it's not like Wii also was genius because you got Wii Sports with it, and only with one remote you could play 4 of the 5 games with a group. Like my father still
we golfed
bowls.
for hours.
My father still Wii bowls. We have the solstice party, and he picked up the Wii bowl. He's like, "Everybody want a bowl?" And I'm like, "I don't think Wii Sports is in there, Dad. Like before you get excited about this, I don't think you're gonna be able to do it."
Oh man, yeah, but yeah, we used to golf for hours, right? Like we would hang out and do like tournaments and shit.
Dude, I remember, like vividly remember tennis tournaments in college. Like, and it would be the 2 people playing tennis, and everybody else just like talking and dicking around. Yeah, man, it's I'm sorry, I'm just thinking about all this stuff because you got me on the brutals. And then it just opened up my deep, deep vault of video game memories that are just insane. And yeah, like 2000, the year 2000, summer of 2000, I bought so many games because a couple down the street were moving out and they're like, "Hey, do you want this Nintendo?" And like I had a Nintendo, but it was a new Nintendo and it came with a bunch of games. And then I'm like, I want to track down a bunch of Nintendo games. Funkoland's a resource. Let's play Star Tropics. I've never done that. Oh, is a sequel to this? Let's do that. Like,
well, and that's why emulation's been so awesome for me. Is that exact like mindset of just like, oh, now I can go and try a little bit of everything, right? And like you find that weird thing that you didn't even know existed back then that suddenly now is like your favorite thing to go back and do. Like, the stupidest thing in the world
at home is Goof Troop. That's what Sejohn is talking about right now.
Yeah, that is definitely one of those games for me. But no, like also Link to the Past, like the fact that we're able to go back and do that, right? But you know, like a weird one for me is uh Monopoly on Super Nintendo. I like it never occurred to me that there were like board game version like video games, right? And then one day we were at my cousin's house and she had an old Sega and she had Monopoly for Sega. And I was just like, "Oh my God, that's amazing. I could play Monopoly whenever I wanted." And like I've sat down now and I play Super Nintendo Monopoly games on my computer because it just like is this comforting thing for me.
So when I worked for Carnival, I one of the musicians, the trumpet player in the house band, was like, "Hey, let me give you a Super Nintendo emulator and all the games." So he just like put them all on a USB drive. I bought a USB drive at Walmart. I downloaded all this stuff, and then I would use it on my work computer. Right? Statute of limitations has to be closed on this. Right? Nobody cared, and like
Nobody cares now.
Of course, I started out with like the basic stuff. Like I did Super Mario World again and all those. But then like what really got me through was Jeopardy. Was playing Jeopardy on Super Nintendo because I'm like, this is fun. It's just like playing Jeopardy. But and it's not
I like Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune was a good one too.
Wheel of Fortune. I had Wheel of Fortune for the PC and I had I was on like a 21-day winning streak with over like $2.2 million in cash and prizes, and then like my save file got corrupted, and that hurt my heart because like, that was the thing that like my mother and I with that game, my mom was part of it. Daily in the summer, we would log on and we would play a game of Wheel of Fortune under that character, and we would just like yeah, and like. And it's all fake money, but like it was fun to do that. And then like when we lost that save file, oh, my heart is still broken a little bit. It's fractured, and they use gold to do it so that the imperfections make it a little bit more beautiful. But I don't know, some movie.
You might as well just put quotes up and just some movie at the end of everything we say. I don't know, some movie.
He said some movie.
He said, pointing to life.
Life is the greatest film.
Oh dear, oh God.
Yeah, let's not get that deep, right? This is not. I mean, it might be a philosophy podcast, but like 30 minutes into the episode is not the time to start philosophizing. We got to start from like hey, welcome to the Say Report, philosophy time.
Philosophy time. Oh man, Devin. Yeah. I gotta say, I've been doing just a lot of Mario Odyssey. It's got me. It's got me deep. I'm trying to think of other things I've been like watching or trying to get into.
That's fine. I mean, I still got my whole weekend of movies to talk about.
Oh man, we never.
Yeah, like I pivoted real quick. I wanted to get that brutal conversation on tape somewhere.
Like really, what it was I called you out at the beginning, at the top of the show, and you didn't like that, and you redirected it.
I did, yeah. I did that Devin Decker thing where I redirected until I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
And now it's my time.
Now I'm ready.
No, I want to rest a little bit on your like Super Mario Odyssey obsession. Not that it's an obsession, but like that you said that you've been playing it a lot. So
it's
like.
Close.
What does that mean? What have you been doing in the game? You finished it, right?
So I finished the storyline, sat through the credits and all that sort of stuff, and then hopped right back in and just started kind of going world to world, doing as much as I could tolerate at the moment, if that makes any sense. Not to say that that it's getting annoying or anything, but like Bonington, it was the first time that I'd really been back to that Bonington. It was the first time I'd been back to that world and was able to actually play it like a level. So I spent a lot of time there, right? But then the very next one was Cascade Kingdom, which I had already spent a ton of time in. So like I played for a little bit and then decided that I was going to move on. That's kind of just what I'm doing right now. I'm not aiming for anything in particular. I mean, I'm also making sure that like I'm buying as much as I can still and all that, trying to get my 9,999 coins so I can make him a skeleton, all the stupid stuff. Like, but nothing. I'm not aimed at anything specific just yet because I'm waiting to kind of see some stuff before that.
That's awesome. So
and I have not taken on the dark side of the moon.
Congratulations!
I tried the dark side of the moon. Yeah, I tried the Dark Side of the Moon long enough to see what it was, and once I realized it was basically a boss battle tower, I was like, "This is awesome, but not what I want to do right now."
Oh,
And
it's a
I've not been
boss
back to
battle
it yet.
tower without like checkpoints too.
Ooh,
Like
awesome!
so, it's fun, and then like you get to Lanky, and you're like, oh, this sucks because I only have one heart left, and
Damn
he's
you,
easy,
Lanky!
but I only have one heart left.
Right.
Sorry, cool. So okay, so where you're sitting is where I was for a long time. In trying to get to spoilers, there's a darkest side of the moon.
Excellent. I feel like you've had that exact same quote in like previous episodes when we've talked about this.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm
I
fairly
love it.
certain. Yeah. So, and then once you get to that, and I cleared that, that was sort of where the what you're experiencing right now, came to a stop for me, and it became let's clean up every single kingdom, and that is where I got burnt out. That is why I'm sitting on like 607 moons. First of all, because that means that there's still 392 moons out there for me.
Okay. All right. I know what's going to get your ass in gear. 607 moons you have, you say. You say you have, you say. Huh?
Yes, those are all words. Maybe.
Then it seems that 608 is what I am aiming for now. See, I found my goal, Devin.
Damn you! Damn you! Thank you, Sejohn. This is exactly what I was gonna do, because I've been cleaning my house a little bit, and I finally set up the Switch dock again on the big TV in the living room, and I'm like, oh, I could play Odyssey, and I'm like, I don't want to fucking play Odyssey. I barely want to play Link to the Past, and I love Link to the Past. But I guess that's something that we can explore too. I'd like to share something that happened with me with Link to the Past. Not that it broke me, but like, you think you got to a level with a game, and then like they fucking there's a darker side of Link to the Past.
There's a darkest side of the past.
Yeah. And that was a surprise to me, and it sort of broke me a little bit because I got one half of what I need to do down super clean. But the other half, like, I just cannot wrap my head around. But let's finish the Mario Odyssey thing. So thank you, Sejohn, because now I need to increase my number, and so that you have a higher number. So you will be my challenge. Thank you. This is what I need. I need a video game.
It has become a race.
It's a rivalry. Race to 9.99.
Yeah. Okay.
Jesus, I hate you so much for this. Thanks, Siege. You're best friend. So... And then we'll end on movies. I love this. I love where we're at. So I think I've mentioned that Link to the Past, they've released their newest update to it, version 28. Mm-hmm. And that includes daily challenge seeds.
Okay, yes. All right.
Which is cool. Like, it's very cool. Because, like, for the first time, today's, right, it was an all dungeon seed. Which I've never done that before.
So the idea is the seed is generated for you, and everybody out there is downloading the same seed, and you're all kind of competing against each other.
So it's like you're kind of exactly what you just said. I mean, it's not like a real competition, and there's still like there's still the weekly race on Saturdays that is truly everybody competing, but there is a seed that you can download that everyone else is able to download. So like you're measuring up against other people, kind of. Right. And like I said, and today's was an all dungeon seed, which I have never done before. I have pretty much only done Defeat Ganon, Triforce Hunt, and that's it. Those are the two that I've done the most of.
So all dungeon means
you need to beat every dungeon.
Okay.
Which not spoilers, but like surprise, surprise, that includes Hyrule Castle Tower. So, like, you need to beat Aghanim. So, like, I buzz through the game, and I get through Ganon Tower, and then I go and I fall into Ganon, and he's like, I will not die. Instead of, like, his usual, like, quippy stuff, he says, you think you're ready to fight me? I will not die. Which means that I haven't done everything. Now, I've beaten all the dungeons, but there was no reason for me to fight Aghanim in Hyrule Castle. So I see that, and I'm like, oh, crap, I gotta go fight him, too? So, like, it was this cool little moment of, like, learning there. That was a fun one. That was really fun. Also, for an all clear, I did it in 2 hours and 11 minutes, which means I shaved off 11 minutes off of my best time for a full clear of the game.
And you made and this was with the mistake of not going and
And
getting
that was with
Aghanim?
the mistake of not doing the first Aghanim.
Hmm.
So like I went and I cleared Aghanim and then I beat Ganon. And it's like, all right, cool, that was fun. I didn't die either. Like, it was no deaths, which probably feeds into the fact that it was a fast time because the death animation, that adds time as well.
Right.
But yeah, like, so it was like this really good run, and it was something that I had never done before, so that's fun. But then, like, over the weekend, I think it was Fridays, the logic was what they changed. So it was like open, normal, overworld glitches logic, which means usually the way that the logic works, you don't need to do any glitches at all. So like the fake flippers, I don't know if you've ever seen me do fake flippers or if you know what fake flippers is.
But it's when you jump into a place when you're not ready to, but you can swim, right?
Exactly. You trigger
Right.
you trigger a specific like screen roll, and it makes the game think you have the flippers when you don't.
Right.
So in overworld glitches logic, that is something that like the flippers might be with the hobo under the bridge. Like it doesn't matter that you usually need the flippers to get there because you can glitch to that area. And like other things, like things that I've only heard of but I don't know what they mean, like Turtle Rock Middle Clip or Death Mountain Descent are things I did not know. But I still downloaded the daily because I've been doing the dailies. So I had to teach myself all of these little like tricks that I had like knew of. I've probably seen demonstrated, but I've never executed myself.
Okay. So you're basically trying to like cheat the game as like on like such a minute level, like
yes,
because you've got to get the timing right on all of this stuff, or else it's just not going to work.
Perfect, like
Right.
I can totally do a spin dash speed now. Like it's like I don't even think about it. I can just activate that because of how long I tried to learn to do it on Friday. And that's like big for a lot of the tricks. But the one thing I cannot do is like you need to clip into a wall, and that allows you to teleport up to like the top of walls you can't usually walk on. And I tried for like 3 hours. I watched an hour-long tutorial, and I still cannot do that.
Damn.
It escapes my mind. And then, right, just like insult to injury, last night I'm playing like just for fun. I'm playing through one, and I accidentally clip into the wall.
Oh God!
And I'm just like, really? What I've been trying to do it this whole time, and then I do it, and I'm like, first of all, it's not overworld glitches, so I'm not going to use glitches to get around anywhere. Second of all, I have no idea how I just did that.
Damn it, man!
So
oh
I mean,
God!
like, I'm still playing it, but like, it was this like, let's pull the curtain away. There's this whole other side to the game that I know nothing about, even after a year of playing it.
Damn. Well, and that's funny that you mentioned that because I was actually so I've been playing through Odyssey, but also I have housemates that have also been playing through Odyssey, and so one of them today was running around the Forgotten Island for the first time,
Forgotten Island.
Yeah, right.
Probably my favorite area in the game.
I loved it, like story wise and all of that, and also getting to become a caterpillar was amazing and all that, right? But the way that they got through the level, the way that they, when you first arrive at the level, the very first thing that happens is Cappy is taken away from you, right? Which means that you don't have your powers for that, your hat powers for that moment. And so,
just a brief interjection. That's how you do it, Super Mario Sunshine. You do it like sparingly. Not every level we take away half of your commands.
Right. so they take the special move away, right? But it's pretty obvious where he is. You just got to figure out how to get there. And there's a lot of really good context clues to tell you that what you can do is butt slam here, this thing will happen, and then you can climb up there. And like it's a really awesome way that it teaches you how to do this thing without your hat, because they know that you'd be able to get around if you had the hat in a way that you might not learn that particular lesson, right? Well, I walk into my housemate playing this, and she has somehow found her way to a top of a tree out in the middle of a danger zone area, right, with like all of this poison around her, and she's like, I don't know how I got here, and I don't know how to get down. And I have no idea how she got there with just Mario with no cap on. but it was an interesting moment. And then it got me. So I was trying to figure out, and then she proceeds to tell me how she's been playing for a while, not realizing that she could get the cap, and. It was just this moment where she taught herself to get around basically half of this level without using the hat because it had been taken away, and she just thought that's what she was supposed to do.
So what I'm going to say is that she is set up perfectly for the Koopa races in Forgotten Island.
Yeah.
Because it is a bunch of bullshit to win those races. And that, like, I'm so happy I'm done with them. But, like, the way that I did it, it just sounds like she stumbled upon this.
Yeah. And it's
So
awesome
that's
because now
super
I'm gonna
cool.
go back and try and figure out how she did it because I want to know how to get around like that. Like it's crazy, but like it's a whole, like you're saying, a whole other side of the game that you just don't even think about. Is like there's this whole other thing because I'm so busy focused on the hat mechanic, I wasn't thinking about the fact that he's got a whole other move set to get around places. And so like I'm excited to go back and look for more moons now because there's definitely been things where like if I had remembered that he can dive through the air and gotten that extra distance, I could totally have gotten that moon. Like that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So that's cool. I mean, that's a nice thing about video games, too, in this heavy video game episode, learning new things about them. But also, the other thing that I did with Link to the Past is I finally designed a sprite.
Oh, man.
And you
Excellent.
do not understand or appreciate how much work goes into making a character in a video game until you design a sprite for yourself. And I didn't even design it from, like, the ground up. Like, I used the basis and then, like, modeled and modified things as best I could with, like, my limited knowledge. And it still took me, like, 7 hours. And it was awesome. Like, I now appreciate the movement of Link and Link to the Past so much more after seeing just how many little sprites go into everything that he does.
Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Like, shoveling is 5 unique sprites. Which is, that's freaking crazy. Thank you, Nintendo, for
the animation,
like,
though, right?
Like, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Is it's looking at Nintendo as what they are, which is the Disney of the video game industry, right? Like the way that they model all that stuff in Link to the Past, like the work that went into it it pays off so well, and it's so apparent, right? Like
yeah, no,
it's amazing.
Doubt. Yeah. Oof. All right, so now the movies I watched over the week. Oh, we're out of time. No, all right, so there's one movie that I want to talk about specifically.
Okay.
And it is the only movie from last year, 2017. Holy shit, it's 2018. Only took me 22 days to realize it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And that is Snatched. We bought tickets to see Snatched, and then like it wasn't for like an hour. So we were like killing time, and then we're like, I don't really want to see this movie. And Jeff didn't want to see it either, so we ended up getting a refund and leaving, right?
Wait, which one is Snatched again?
Snatched is Amy Schumer and Goldie Hawn.
It is indeed. Okay, I thought that was it, and it's like a mom and daughter comedy.
And like a travel comedy, and like
yeah,
it's got a lot going on. Is what I'm going to say.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna say it like this.
Drunk off your ass.
Yeah. So Saturday I watched 5 movies. So like maybe it was fatigue, but Saturday I started the day by watching Captain Ron.
Nice.
When's the last time you watched Captain Ron?
Oh God, since I was like, I don't know, 17.
So here's yeah, exactly. I think we watched it in college once. Here's some things about Captain Ron. Originally going to be distributed by Walt Disney Pictures, before getting switched over to Touchstone.
Oh, so that they could be more adult.
No, because it was too adult.
Right.
And like, you want to know how adult? First of all, Captain Ron rated PG-13. There are exposed breasts, more than implied sex, and the usage of the F word. This is going to be a Walt Disney movie.
Those are the days.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, okay. Oh, wow, those are Mary Kay breast nipples. That's weird, right? What is this movie rated? PG-13. Okay, that's okay.
Suggested. Parental guidance was suggested.
Yeah, right. If you're if you're younger than 13, I think I saw that movie at 6. Movie's not good either. Like spoilers for Captain Ron is really a pretty terrible movie. But they use Monopoly wonderfully to feed into your Monopoly obsession. I honestly can't think of another movie that uses Monopoly as well as a plot device. Like, they use
Isn't Ridley Scott making a Monopoly movie?
I'd love it. I think he did. I think it's called All the Money in the World.
Oh God!
I want to play as the ear. Yeah, that was bad. Then I followed up Captain Ron because I was in a good mood with 54.
Oh man,
dude!
Okay,
I loved that movie so much, and
really?
Then I found out that there's a 2.5-hour version of that movie that I'm probably going to hate, but I'm going to find and watch. Because 54, I don't know. First of all, you know what it is? 54 is basically like Coyote Ugly, but set in the 70s.
Okay, all right.
Like, he's from New Jersey. He moves to New York. He finds a surrogate family. His father disagrees with his choices. There's no magical black wizard in charge of a pizza place keeping him from succeeding. But Mike Myers is there. So, it's a trade-off. I really
Oh my God,
54.
I forgot that Mike Myers shows up.
Mike Myers is so fucking good in that movie. And you want to know how I know that he's so fucking good in that movie? In, like, the interim between Captain Ron and 54, I put on the end of Wayne's World just to, like, fill time. And, like, so watching him as Wayne to freaking Steve Brule in 54, night and friggin' day.
Yeah.
Why did you make the love guru, Mike Myers?
Why did you do that to yourself?
Why did you do this? And then I followed 54 with...
You know what it is about, my theory is about Love Guru, by the way, though, is that Mike Myers has suffered the extent of, like, that, all of that movie's shit, so that nobody else in that movie had to. Because if you think about it, nobody else in that movie gets brought down because of that movie. Like, Justin Timberlake is fine. Even Jessica Alba's gone on to show up and do her thing in Robert Rodriguez movies left and right. Like, everybody else kind of makes it out of that.
Still on SVU.
Right. Everybody else makes it out of that movie alive except for him. And I think it's because he has decided to take it all on himself.
Oh, he was the sacrificial lamb?
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's like, this was my fault. I take full responsibility, everybody. Like, and so he absorbs the hate for everyone.
I just think it's crazy that, like, Adam Sandler was able to pivot from You Don't Mess with the Sejohn. Though that movie, legitimately really good. I don't know the last time you watched You Don't Mess with the Sejohn. But,
I don't think I've unironically watched an Adam Sandler comedy since maybe Click. I think that's the last time I paid attention.
That makes sense. That totally makes sense. Back to my day of movies, I followed that up with Life with Mikey.
Wait, what? Which one is that?
Michael J. Fox film where as a child
I was
trying
to think of a new one. Yes. That
movie was really, really good. Like, really,
I have a Michael J. Fox collection that's in, along with Greed and what's the rich people one? I forget.
Hollywood?
Doc Hollywood is not in that one. I wish I had Doc Hollywood because I love that movie.
How to Succeed in Business?
How to Succeed in Business is that one of his?
That
must be the other one that's in it. Yeah, that's definitely got to be the.
It's the other one that uses that Yellow song. Oh yeah. That also plays in that movie.
Oh man.
But that movie I really, really liked. Like, I could not believe how good that flick was. And then I'm like, you know what? After two comedies in 54, which doesn't know what it wants to be, why don't I watch the 1971 Best Picture winner, The French Connection?
Yeah, man.
Oh, that movie's so fucking good. Oh my God, that movie's incredible.
Those car chases are amazing still.
Dude, when he's chasing the train. Mm-hmm. Like, first of all, what I learned there is that we don't make cars like we used to at all. Because if my car took like half of the damage that Oldsmobile takes in that movie, it might not be an Oldsmobile, but that's what I saw in my head. Was that this is clearly an Oldsmobile? It'd be done. Like, it'd be totaled.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, he takes a lick and it keeps on freaking ticking. And, like, the end and it's so good. That movie's fantastic. Like, I kind of want to watch The French Connection, too, even though I can't imagine it's any good.
It is not. It's one of those movies that you're watching the whole time and you're like, this is fine, but the first one was just so good that this is unacceptable.
I can't
You
believe
know
it's
what I
all the
mean?
same people. Like usually when you have a sequel to a Best Picture, you like that, like a movie like The French Connection, you don't get all the people. Like I think of The Sting
No.
2. Like The Sting
Yeah,
2 is
right.
fucking crazy. 'Cause none of the
Oh
people are
man.
in that fucking movie. And it's about boxing. And Jackie Gleason is there. Like I'm not sad that I've seen The Sting 2, but like I'm like mystified whenever I think back to it.
Well,
Like,
it's always that moment where you wonder, the original script for this wasn't Sting 2, was it? It was like its own title, and they
oh,
were like, this will sell better if we call it the Sting 2.
I was thinking that about the Point Break remake as I watched
Hmm.
Snatched, which was my fifth movie of the day. Because they both take place in South America.
The end.
And I was like, oh yeah, remember Point Break was a pretty good remake.
Did they take place in Rio? Did they show the giant Jesus?
No, it's in Ecuador and
Okay.
Colombia. But they
Oh,
walking on a
okay.
waterfall, and I was thinking of the last of the Ozaki 8 challenges from Point Break is to climb up the waterfall and jump off it. That would be so
Yeah.
fucking crazy.
Jesus.
I saw that
Oh my
movie
God.
twice in theaters. Sejohn, have you seen the Point Break remake?
No,
Put
man,
it
I
on the
have not seen
fucking
the Point
list.
Break
Put it
remake.
on the fucking
Ah,
list. We're
all
watching
right,
that
fine.
together. All right, so Snatched, right?
Hmm?
I'm gonna just be honest about it. Amy Schumer does not really appeal to me.
Yeah,
She
okay.
does not really work for me,
That is a
and
fair and diplomatic
and
thing to say.
that's fine, right? Like that's completely fine. I'm not one of these people who like goes and rates her Netflix special as negative without having seen it. I know that her type of comedy does not work for me, and I try to avoid it. But Jeff and we were talking about how he's like, I'm kind of upset I didn't watch Snatched, and I watched Rough Night, which is another one that like was kind of girl funny type movie. I don't know, like it was a weird course correction, right? 2017 was like the year of the woman, right? I think that both
Right.
of us can agree to that. But then like some of the movies that like tried to put women first were not great at
No,
that.
no, they did not succeed. Yeah, well,
Like,
because it's one of those things where we're still working through stuff, right? Like we can see some of the right decisions starting to be made. Like, hey, why don't we try and make one of these movies, but we actually get female voices in them? Like, that's a good decision. But like, we're still making the dumb decisions of just like, but we still need to appeal to these 25-year-old dudes. So it's just like, no, guys, you can't correct it on one front and not the other. Like,
exactly.
that's what leads to something like Rough Night.
Exactly. But I got to tell you, Rough Night ended up getting me at the end. But the problem with Rough Night is that it feels like two fucking movies went through the Brundle transportation system together and came out a fucking gross mess.
Yeah.
Because the stuff with the women, like, at the house was good, right? And I mean, like, yeah, it was a lot of screenwriting 101. Like, oh, this is going to be the thing is that, like, we don't get along like we used to when we were in college because we're adults now and you haven't grown up. Like, that kind of stuff. But then, like, there's this weird side plot where Scarlett Johansson's fiance is freaking out that she doesn't want to marry him anymore because of a, like, telephone, like, miscommunication. So he drives down to Florida in one night and he's like wearing adult diapers and he loses his wallet. It's like ridiculous the stuff that he goes through. And I'm like, this is not good. Why is this part of the movie?
Yeah.
It destroys the momentum on the other side and it's not funny. And like also, I'm pretty sure he's driving to Miami from Charleston, South Carolina. You wouldn't need adult diapers for that.
It's a long drive, but you'd make it.
Yeah, right. Like he's got to stop for gas. When you stop for gas, you go to the bathroom. You don't have to quote the movie "Sad Astronaut." I am doing everything I can to not talk about Snatched, and I am sorry about that. But because I had watched Rough Night and ended up not hating it and being like, Trainwreck, even though it wasn't my favorite movie, I was not disappointed that I saw it. I'm going to give Snatched a chance.
Right.
From minute one, it just turned me off. Like, I was trying to go in with an open attitude. I had just watched The French Connection. I was, like, ready to receive cinema. And, like, from the first minute, that movie, like, completely alienated me. And it just continues to do that and do that and do that until Christopher Maloney shows up. And then I'm like, oh, Christopher Maloney, that's going to be great. But then he's dead within, like, 10 minutes.
Oops.
And I'm like, well, it was great that Christopher Maloney showed up. I love that guy. And now he's dead. And then the reaction to that is that she, like, passes out. And it's because she has a tapeworm. And that's why she's been complaining about hunger the entire movie. So they have to take the tapeworm out of her. And Sejohn, they're in the jungle. So how do you think they do that? How do you think they do the tapeworm extraction?
Oh, butt stuff.
Oh, dude, no. They dangle a piece of raw meat in front of her open mouth. And I'm talking like they have those things that like dentists use to make sure your mouth doesn't close. They dangle raw meat in front of her mouth until the tapeworm slowly comes out of her mouth. And then they yank it out. Yeah, right? And I'm just like, why? What? And, like, that's, like, a 5-7 minute scene. Because then, like, halfway through the extraction, she freaks out. So then she's running around with, like, half a tapeworm coming out of her mouth, looking like some sort of bargain basement Yoshi. And I'm like, what is happening, movie? What are you trying to do?
Appreciated your attempt to tie it back to the earlier conversations.
Well, like, I also got two Yoshis staring at me, like... And it's what
I think a better way to put it is this movie definitely laid an egg, huh?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
A big old Yoshi egg.
I gotta tell you, though, like, some of the stuff really worked in the film. Like, I liked she accidentally, spoilers for Snatched, a movie that I don't recommend you see. Like, she accidentally is killing the family members of the guy who, like, who kidnapped them. Like, when they escape, he jumps onto the truck they jump on, and she picks up a shovel and hits him and kills him, because hitting someone with a shovel will generally kill them. Like, people should know that. And then, like, her mother's like, oh, grab that spear gun and just, like, threaten him. And then she goes to threaten him, and, like, it goes off, and it shoots the guy's kid in the neck. And I'm like, this would be funny, but, like, in a better movie, right? Like, this is a good bit of comedy, but it's not working with this. And the thing is, and I think the reason why Jeff wanted to see Snatched originally is he really, really liked Trainwreck, and he wanted to see her follow-up. But this is not the follow-up to Trainwreck. This is another movie with Amy Schumer in it. Amy Schumer did not write Snatched.
Yeah.
She's just acting in it. So, like, I saw that at the end, and I'm like, okay, then I'm not 100% upset with the fact that this movie didn't work for me. Because I can admit that even though I'm not her biggest fan, parts of Trainwreck worked for me. So that's it. That was my whole...
I'm sorry that Snatch didn't, but, I mean, from all accounts, it apparently didn't work for a lot of people, so...
Yeah, no, have you seen it?
No, and I don't really intend to.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? You're like, I'm sorry it didn't work for you. You don't get to say that. You're not going to watch Snatched.
I don't know. I mean, like, you know, like, I want Amy Schumer to have a career after...
Inside Amy Schumer?
Yeah, I mean...
And isn't she doing the Barbie movie? Like, I'll see that Barbie movie if that's a thing.
Yeah,
like, because that seems very interesting. That, like, she gets thrown out of Barbie world for not being the Barbie aesthetic of beautiful and sent to our world.
That's a really interesting plot.
Like, that's an interesting plot. Like, I read that, and I'm like, the only thing about this that doesn't work for me is the fact that it's Amy Schumer. But, like, I'm still going to see it because it's an interesting plot for how you make a Barbie movie in the...
Well, right. So if it's an actual Barbie movie, that means it's also going to be PG, right? So, I mean, like, we're not really talking Schumer levels types of humor, right?
Right.
Like,
so, like, it might be a chance for her to, like, actually show that she can act.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Like, I don't know.
And not just
what
do her bits, right?
Like, for me about her. I don't know what it is that it does not gel with me, and I wish I could like pinpoint it, but I've never been able to.
I don't know. We've talked before about like maybe like things just being way too like things being real, but not, I don't know, fake real, right? Like things being like way too intense just because things are intense. Like we talked about that with Warren Ellis and what's his name, the Mark Millar, right?
Yeah.
When we talked about and maybe that's what it is it's too much, right? Like and I totally get that. It's part of the reason that I like totally I loved the Amy Schumer television show, but her stand-up has never really worked for me. And so, like, when they first announced she was doing a show, I wasn't that interested. But then I saw a couple of episodes and fell in love with it. So, like, I love I love her thought. I don't always love her execution, right? If that makes sense. So, like, that's why Trainwreck worked for me actually really well, because it was a lot of Amy Schumer's comedy, but doled out in a way that was easy for me to take in, right? And so, like, I was kind of interested in Snatch, but then when I heard a lot about what the style of humor was in it, which was essentially not like her smart, witty stuff, but just more of the dick and fart stuff, I just lost interest in it really quick.
Yeah, and I think that was it too. Is that like I was expecting at least the level of humor from Trainwreck, and then like no, that's not what this fucking movie is.
And that's just not what that movie is, right? Like that's just not what it is. The end, like it's like so it's just not something I'm interested in. But I don't know. I mean, like, obviously, at some point, I'll probably see it if it's on in the background at like a party or something. I'm not gonna like yell at somebody to turn it off. So we'll see.
Shut this movie off.
I refuse.
Devon didn't like it that much.
I shall not watch it.
All right. So I think that we've come to the natural plot end. If you want to yell at me about anything that I've said, or tell me I'm wrong about King Boo, I'm at Devon D. Decker on Twitter.
And I'm at Siege versus the World, and you can check out my new podcast, The Darkest Side of the Say Report.
Oh, nice.
The After Darkest Side.
Oh, the After Darkest Side of the Say Report. Will I listen to that? Yes, I will.
Thank you for listening to the Say Report with your host Devon Decker and Sejohn Selwick. Please follow the guys on Twitter and Facebook by searching for The Say Report, and you can always subscribe on your podcast channel so this is delivered straight to you and you can enjoy it every week. With apologies to your mother, we'll see you next time.